Hey guys, we're just a little over 2 weeks away from the second ever live action Star Wars Disney Plus show, The Book of Boba Fett, where Boba Fett lays claim to Jabba the Hutt's territory and navigates and takes control, presumably, of the Star Wars underworld. The last time we saw Boba Fett on the small screen, he told Din Djarin that his reclaimed armor actually belonged to his father, Jango Fett, who himself was a Mandalorian foundling. So, this got me thinking, who are the top 10 Mandalorians in canon? The Mandalorians as a whole are very different in Star Wars canon than they were in Star Wars Legends. In Star Wars Legends, we had the whole thing with the Null and Arc Commandos adopting the Mandalorian culture. We had the Mandalorian warfare of the Knights of the Old Republic and Tales of the Jedi era, and we even had some very early Marvel Star Wars comics from the 70s and 80s. Star Wars canon has taken a very different route, and Lucas himself has contradicted a lot of these ideas, traditions, and cultural values when he and Filoni introduced the new Mandalorians into the Clone Wars TV show. As a result, we don't have too many notable Mandalorians in canon. Even some of the ones that I've listed here aren't too fleshed out. On the other hand, a lot of them are so famous, so well developed, and so well liked that they could be considered some of the best ever characters in the whole Star Wars universe. So, without further ado, my top 10 Mandalorians in canon. To start off, I think we have to give an honorable mention to Boba Fett. He's the whole reason behind this video, but he's technically a bounty hunter raised by a Mandalorian father and wears Mandalorian armor, but he himself claims that he is not a Mandalorian. That being said, he is keeping up the Mandalorian tradition up in his own way, and there is potential for future Mandalorian development out of him, so I thought he deserved a shout out. At number 10, we have Koska Reeves. She's a member of the Night Owls and is active during the years post the Great Purge of Mandalore. She made her first appearance in Chapter 11 of The Mandalorian, The Heiress, and returns in Chapter 16, the Season 2 finale, The Rescue. Koska makes my top 10 because she tracks Din Djarin once he lands on Trask, saves Grogu from being eaten, and is quite the vicious fighter during the Night Owl's takedown of the Gozanti cruiser. She even talks some trash to Boba before engaging in a stalemate close combat fight against him. She doesn't have as much screen time overall as some other characters do, but she certainly does a lot with it and stands toe-to-toe with some of the galaxy's best, so she cracks this list. For number 9, I went with Gar Saxon. He makes his first appearance in the underrated Darth Maul Son of Dathomir comic book miniseries, before reappearing as an older man in Star Wars Rebels' 3rd season, and then going back in time for his last and official appearance in the final arc of the 7th season of the renewed The Clone Wars. He is on this list because of his longevity, his ruthlessness, and his mix of iconic looks and moments. His multi-themed armor during the Clone Wars is an awesome look, and though it's a bit of a downgrade, his Imperial Super Commando look is still quite cool. He's a powerful fighter, having helped free Maul from a high-security prison, helped capture Count Dooku, and has had numerous scenes where he destroys multiple clones during the Siege of Mandalore. As an older man, he fights with a darksaber and is quite adept at combining his tech with his physicality and swordsmanship. Unfortunately, he is frequently defeated and is quite cowardly, as he follows those who can offer him power and betrays Clan Ren after using them. His final act is to shoot someone in the back, which is far below a true Mandalorian. Number 8 goes to Tar Vizsla. He is admittedly more a concept than a character, having only been depicted in an artistic rendition of the Darksaber's history in the 3rd season of Star Wars Rebels, as well as a statue in a Forces of Destiny's episode. We don't know how powerful he was, but his legacy alone suggests that he is one of the greatest. We know that he was Force sensitive and became a Jedi Knight, and eventually became his planet's Mandalore. He created the Darksaber, which helped unite the Mandalorians, and was then stolen from the Jedi Temple during the fall of the Republic many years after his death and continued to be used as a unifying weapon that all Mandalorians recognized and fought to claim in order to rule. Number 7 goes to Fen Rao. Fen Rao appears in Star Wars Rebels as the leader of the Protectors of Concord Dawn until his capture by the Phoenix Rebel Cell. After a year in captivity and having allowed the rebels to travel through Concord Dawn, he returns home to find his protectors wiped out by the Empire. He later joined the rebellion and became a loyal ally. Fen Rao comes in at the spot because of his years of service and honor pairing well with his varied skill set. He trained clone pilots on Kamino and led the elite Mandalorian Skull Squadron against the Separatist army, having saved Depa Billaba and Caleb Doom at one point. He was under Rebel Alliance captivity for a full year, but it became close with Sabine Wren, eventually coming back from members of the Ghost Crew when he found out that all the Protectors were dead in a trap laid out by Gar Saxon. After he commits to the rebellion, he dons a unique new armor and provides van braces to Sabine Wren, along with helping her with her darksaber training. He also brings Clan Wren to help save the Rebel Alliance after Thrawn's fleet attacks Atollon, and helps unite the Protectors and the Mandalorian clans under the new wielder of the darksaber. He's an iconic number 6, and he's Pre Vizsla. Leader of the Death Watch, Pre Vizsla restored the warrior heritage of Mandalore through terrorist acts that destabilized and brought down the pacifist regime of the new Mandalorians during the Clone Wars. He tried many times to outright rule Mandalore with the backing of his commandos, as well as Count Dooku, but finally succeeded when he joined Maul's Shadow Collective. Pre Vizsla is not a good man, but he gains points for his unstoppable drive to rule Mandalore and his fighting skill. He betrayed Maul once he had control of Mandalore, showcasing his intelligence and his skill for machinations. He also showed significant skill against Force users, fighting well against Kenobi and honoring Maul's challenge for the throne, which resulted in a brutal and physical fight where he showcased all of his technique and equipment before submitting to his beheading by Maul. Coming in at number 5 is Satine Kryze. Satine was the former ruler of Mandalore during the last years of the Galactic Republic, though she stands apart from other Mandalorians on this list due to the pacifist and isolationist ideology of the new Mandalorians. Satine comes in at this position due to the prosperity she brought to her planet after generations of fighting, including the Mandalorian Civil War. During that war, the Galactic Republic sent Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi to protect her from her enemies. She and Kenobi both fell in love with each other, but upon conclusion of the war, went their separate ways in order to follow their duties. Though she became estranged from her sister, bo-katan, Satine helped Mandalore flourish until the start of the Clone Wars. During the war, she tried to maintain neutrality, but after numerous attempts on her life by Death Watch, she was finally captured and killed by Maul in front of Obi-Wan. She was quite skilled at political negotiations and espionage, and was an able fighter despite being a pacifist. Despite the fall of Mandalore, her decades of peace and prosperity ensured her galactic legacy, and the change of heart she inspired in her sister shaped Mandalorian politics and conflicts for decades more to come. For number 4, I went with Sabine Wren. She's a main character in the entirety of Star Wars Rebels, and is set to appear in live action in the Ahsoka Disney Plus show. Sabine is an intelligent and skilled fighter, having spent time as an Imperial cadet and inventor, a bounty hunter, and as a rebel fighter. She is extremely skilled in combat, having fought other Mandalorians, Jedi, Stormtroopers, and more in close combat and in the cockpit. There is also a brief period of time where she is a skilled and winning wielder of the darksaber. Her ever-changing hair and armor allows her to stand out even amongst the Mandalorians, and she is a gifted artist who has even painted a TIE fighter. Unfortunately, she doesn't crack the top 3 due to her lack of substantial experience against Force wielders, as well as her youth and rebellious streak often getting in the way of her dealing with her trauma and at times her mission objectives. Once we see an older version of her in the Ahsoka show, I'm sure she'll rise up in the rankings, but for now she's where she is. The top 3 begins with Din Djarin. Din is the lead protagonist of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus and has had a strong rise to the top of the Mandalorian hierarchy. He was a foundling of the Orthodox Children of the Watch, a suspected offshoot of the Death Watch who believed in the ancient traditions and the way of the Mandalore and were not permitted to take off their helmets in front of another living being. Din has since broken from his covert and beliefs due to his journey with Grogu, but he himself has experienced dramatic changes throughout his whole life. A man of few words and a formidable bounty hunter, Din Djarin has a wide range of Mandalorian weapons that he's adept with. He is the current wielder of the Darksaber, inadvertently winning it through his defeat of Moff Gideon. He also has one of the most Beskar heavy armors, forged from a Camptono worth of Beskar earned from initially delivering Grogu, which provides him more protection than the average Mandalorian. He has also shown strong piloting skills from the constant hunting by other bounty hunters for Grogu, and has faced the full brunt of both Dark Troopers and Ahsoka Tano. He's just at the start of his journey and has achieved so much, and there's still so much to go for him. The second spot belongs to bo-katan Kryze. Sister of Satine Kryze, bo-katan earns major points for being the first ever animated Star Wars character and animated Mandalorian to debut in live action. Bo-katan also ranks this high due to her longevity and her morally gray characterization, which makes her unpredictable and fittingly Mandalorian. Her entire life has been determined by war, some of which she herself has helped bring about. After causing her sister's eventual death, bo-katan loses control of Mandalore and fights for years against the Empire, eventually uniting the clans once more when Sabine gives her the Darksaber. She unfortunately loses control again, and the Empire unleashes the Great Purge, and she seeks to lead the clans once more with true power gained from actually winning the Darksaber in combat. With Din Djarin having the actual claim, bo-katan becomes a wild card once more, as she may pull strings and may try to upend Din through machinations in order to one day defeat him and stake claim. And with her years of battles and skill, she may be able to defeat him rather quickly. And finally, the top spot belongs to none other than Jango Fett, both for his iconic screen time as a supporting antagonist during Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, along with his untouchable legacy of the Clone Army and Boba Fett. Jango was a Mandalorian foundling who fought in the Mandalorian Civil War, but became famed as the galaxy's greatest bounty hunter, a title even Cad Bane agreed with. His skill and notoriety was so great that he attracted Count Dooku's attention, who recruited him to become the genetic template to a secret clone army for 20 million credits. He helped train the clones, but continued to build his reputation as a bounty hunter while raising an unaltered clone, a son that he named Boba Fett. Skill-wise, Jango went head-to-head with Obi-Wan Kenobi, one of the greatest Jedi ever, and even killed Jedi Master Coleman Trebor, who was on the Jedi High Council at the time of Attack of the Clones. Though Mace Windu eventually kills him, a jetpack malfunction and being trampled by a reek arguably limited a solid chance he had of killing another Jedi Council member. Though he is killed, the clone army born from him brings about the fall of the Confederacy, the fall of the Republic, and the rise of the Empire. His son, Boba Fett, became a bounty hunter even greater than himself, ensuring that his name and his legacy will never be forgotten. Well, that brings us to the end. Thank you guys so much for watching this video of my top 10 Mandalorians in canon. Again, this is just a subjective ranking, so if you liked this video but had a different opinion, leave your list in the comments below. I'd love to check it and reply to you guys. If you haven't already, click subscribe and click on the bell to be notified every time a new video drops. We typically drop new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you don't follow us on our social media yet, we can be found at Star Wars Lads on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. If you're an audio-only listener, we also have a podcast format. You can find us on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, as well as several other podcast platforms.